Here's the million-dollar question. How do men like us reach our full potential and grow into the men we dream of being while taking care of our responsibilities, working, being good husbands, fathers, and still take care of ourselves? That's the question, and this podcast will help you with those answers. My name is Brent, and welcome to the Fallible Man Podcast.
Guys, I am so excited. Today, I have my friend Oliver Marcel and his amazing wife Denise from Relationship Trade Secrets on the show. And on today's episode, we're going to dig deep into starting your new year with a focus on renewing your marriage. It doesn't matter if you've been married for a minute, 30 years, or if you're thinking about marriage, this episode is for you. Just because of that, my wife Sarah is joining me on camera today because, guys, between Denise and Oliver and us, we got like 40 some odd years of marriage. And guys, they're going to bless you so much in this podcast. I'm so incredibly excited about this. Oliver, Denise, welcome to the show.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much.
That
We're
awesome.
honored to be here.
Yeah, it's our pleasure to hang out with you guys, man. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you.
Now, Oliver, I've gotten to work with you before. You came on the live stream and just shared incredible information on our live, and I'm really appreciative of that. Denise, this is the first time I've gotten to work with you. I'm very excited today. I haven't actually got to talk to you yet.
I know. I'm excited about this too. I keep hearing about Brent and the Fallible Man. And I'm like, listen, when are we going to get to meet officially? So I'm glad to be here. Glad to be here.
Now, you guys have been married for over 21 years, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just over 21
Just over
years.
21. Yep.
21 years.
Known each other.
September.
Known each other for about 26 or so.
Oh, my goodness. And unbeknownst, before I was getting ready for the show, I didn't know you guys actually had a blog for a long time before you started doing the podcast as well.
Yep. That's honestly
actually how we started.
Yeah, that's how we started. And to be quite honest, that was the only thing we had in mind.
Yeah.
So back when we started the blog, we were just, people would tell us, hey, we love your relationship, man. And we're like, what are you talking about? Like, we're struggling just like everybody else. And so long story short, we're like, well, you know what? Let's start a blog. Mm-hmm. And at the time we started it, I had no vision of where we are right now. It was literally, we're just going to tell our story via blog. If somebody happens to read it, fine. If they don't, we'll go on with our lives.
Right.
And that's literally how it started.
Yeah.
I'll apologize to our audience. This is the first time Sarah and I have set up in this configuration. So we're learning this on the go. We're not used to being like, this close while we're filming. This is a kind of new experience.
Not crammed on the dining room bench anymore.
That's true.
That's an upgrade.
Our very first podcast together, we were jammed in this. It's this adorable little like 2-seater wooden bench for like kitchen tables and stuff.
It fits our girls much better than us.
Yeah. It's good for the kids. It's not so good for like we're like hugging the entire time.
Right.
We got really warm under the lights, trying to keep smiling as we're like burning up. It was the middle of the warm part of the year. It's like, oh, this is bad.
That's funny.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool to see the progression though, because we say the same things. Like, man, look where we started, and look at where we are now, and all the things that we're able to do now that we didn't even think to do when we first started. So it's really cool to see the progression and have something to talk about and laugh about.
Mm-hmm.
Oliver and I have talked at length. I'm in the same boat. You guys started with a blog, and that was going to be it.
Yeah.
I started writing a book, and 15 months later, it's just crazy where this has gone and what all we're doing. And it was not on the agenda, but lo and behold, here we are.
Yeah. Yep. So cool.
Yeah. And listen, that just goes to show that there was a greater plan.
Yeah.
Right. And it's coming into play. So we're at the point where we're just like, okay, we're people of faith. So, okay, God, whatever, you got next. Right? We'll just see what happens.
That's all you can do.
Literally.
Just kind of strap in. I was not planning this, and it was like, okay, God, I don't know what you're doing with this. I certainly don't know that I'm the right person for it, but this seems to be what I should do. So, okay.
Yep.
Well, I got to ask, you've heard the podcast before. I don't do real introductions. So tell us, who is Oliver and Denise Marcel, and what are they about?
Sure. I'll let you do that.
Okay. So We are Oliver and Denise Marcel of Denali LLC, Denise and Ollie Denali. And we are just passionate about relationships. We're passionate about seeing them thrive and grow. And we love to help couples build the relationship of their dreams, however that looks for them, help them to communicate better without frustration and judgment. And that is just our passion. We've seen, we've been through a lot, and we've seen what works for us and what doesn't work for us. And we know that a lot of couples struggle with those same things. And so we just are passionate about helping them out with that.
Yeah, that's basically what it is in a nutshell. We are big on communication.
Yeah.
Anybody who knows us has heard us say these 3 words. If you heard it once, you heard it a million times. Have a conversation. So like Nisi said, communicating without frustration and judgment. We're also big on increasing intimacy. Oddly enough, in COVID times, now, mind you, in 2020 was our 20th year of marriage.
Yeah.
But COVID shook everybody up. And we realized that there were some things as it relates to our intentionality around building and maintaining intimacy. And so that has become a big focus for us as well, as it relates to what we are doing as we work with our couples to help increase intimacy and build and get them to where they want to be. And so that's us in a nutshell, man. Passionate about seeing relationships thrive. And as such, we're everything we do, whether it be sitting here with you lovely folk, or coaching a couple, or creating some type of content for social media, it's all for the purpose of enriching marriages.
Yeah.
That's very obvious looking. I love, since I follow you guys now on like Instagram, the other social media platforms, I look forward to your posts throughout the day. You guys' social game is so much stronger than mine, but just the good content is incredible.
Thanks. He's the backbone behind all of that. He's the visionary.
I'm telling you, it's listen, I appreciate you saying that, because on this side of the fence,
challenge.
I'm always like, man, how do you keep up with this thing? Like, how do you?
Yeah, it's a challenge.
And it's funny you would say that, because I tell her that about you.
Right.
I'm like, man, Quint is on point, man.
He does.
This stuff is always hot.
Yeah.
Thank you. Social, it's so foreign. I'm more comfortable on YouTube or on the podcast.
Okay.
Growing up a preacher's kid, being a former minister, I'm very comfortable talking to people. It's taken some time getting used to talking to a camera.
Yeah.
It's very, I don't care who you are, that's just weird. Like staring at a camera lens, trying to talk to it like it's a person is just really weird.
It is very weird. We have the screen here and the camera here, and I have to remember, look at the camera when you're talking. Don't look at the screen so you can see the people. So if you see me and it doesn't look like I'm looking, if it looks like I'm off, that's because I'm looking at you guys on the screen and not looking into the camera.
Yeah, but that's why
I get that.
That's why I asked you that question earlier, because we're trying to get our monitor configuration right.
I'm still trying to figure out where to look. Look there, but if I look there, then
you're right, exactly.
And then I kept hitting the table.
We were talking about the difference in our setups. So if I do go 2 screens, one goes up and one's under.
Okay.
Because I don't have the arms to go wide on it, because I have another arm over here that's got some lights and stuff on it.
Yeah.
So like the camera's right in the middle, and we're looking slightly up at you in the camera, and I'm looking down at the questions I have written down. Right. So for all of you folks listening, you got the better end of the show. You guys on YouTube, I'm sorry, we're kind of all over the place. This is a learning experience for us.
I'm trying not to make facial expressions at the camera.
We're having fun. That's what this is all about. We're having fun.
It's all fun.
Good stuff.
Now, the crucial question of every show is, what is your favorite kinds of ice cream?
Favorite kinds of ice cream? Ooh, mine is, I don't eat it so much anymore, because if I do, I'll probably eat the whole tub. But mine is Baskin Robbins Pralines and cream.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
I'd have to say butter pecan.
Yeah, you're a butter pecan guy.
Okay, so what's the difference between butter pecan and pralines and cream? Because to me, they kind of sound
it's kind of the same. You're right.
I feel like butter pecan. I feel like pralines and cream. The pralines, obviously, they're called pralines because they're sugar coated. I think whatever.
It's sweeter. Yeah.
Yeah. And the butter pecan is just.
It's just
pecans.
Buttery. Yeah.
Yeah. And the ice cream is a little bit more buttery to me.
Yeah,
so I think the difference is the pralines are sugar coated in the pralines and cream.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, Oliver.
No, that's fine. I was just saying I grew up with that. That was my dad's favorite ice cream. And so there was always some Breyers. Like we didn't do a whole lot of sweets, and there's a lot of stuff I didn't grow up eating, but there was some Breyers butter pecan in the freezer. And so I've taken that on.
Well, I screwed up the audio once already today. We'll see how this keeps going.
We'll see if we have a podcast.
So,
if we do, cool.
You want to take the next question?
Sure. As soon as I find it. There it is. Okay. Why would you say the marriage relationship is so crucial to you?
That's a great question.
That is a good question.
So I'll start it out, and then you can jump in. So there's a couple ways we can go with that answer, and I'm gonna go because again we mentioned this earlier with people of faith, so I'm gonna go that route first. I believe that the marital relationship it very much mirrors our relationship with God. So for those of you who are listening or watching and God is not your thing, just hear me out for a second. Because that's cool. I respect that. There's a certain dynamic for individuals who are people of faith as it relates to how they relate to God. And I believe that marital relationship mirrors that. Let me give you some examples. So we're supposed to be developing a personal relationship with God. I'm supposed to be developing a personal relationship with my wife. There's some communication that happens in the development of that relationship. And there's some relinquishing of my will, if you want to say it that, right? And I can't be as selfish in that relationship. And so there's a partnership that happens. And so I believe that the relationship is important. Well, first of all, I should have said this in the beginning. Even if you want to be married, right? Because there's some people who don't want to be married. But for those of us who are married, I believe that it's important because it shapes us as human beings. It gives us the opportunity to learn how to serve somebody else, to learn how to live in a space where duality is at the forefront, and to learn how to meet somebody else's needs in a way that is beneficial to them. It causes us to be less selfish. It causes us to be more compassionate. It causes us to be more cognizant of somebody else's well-being.
That's good. I also think too, to add to you kind of took my answer, but to add to that, I think that God gives us desires, right? And so I believe that God either gives us the desire to be married because that is the way to perfect our character that would not be able to be perfected in any other way. And then there are people, like you said, who don't want to be married. And I believe that God gives those people the desire to not be married. But then there are other ways in which he has to perfect their character. But talking about the marital relationship, I think it's important because it's one of the ways, if not a major way, in that our character is perfected or developed. Not that we'll ever be perfect this side of heaven, but I believe that it's a way to chisel away at those things in us that would not be able to be perfected or removed or shaped any other way had we not been married.
I agree with that. And let me give you the 15-second context for individuals, because I got to be fair, because there are some folk who don't believe, they don't do the God thing, right? So even if you don't do the God thing and you hear what we're saying, the marital relationship is an opportunity for you to become something for someone else. It's an opportunity for just the unselfishness, the compassion, all of that still applies whether you are a person of faith or not.
Yeah.
It allows you the opportunity to step outside of who you are, step outside of that singular mentality, and move into a mentality where duality reigns. And if you're really attempting to be what you should be for somebody else, it is going to, like you said, shape and adjust your character in certain ways to align with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got a good chuckle for a second. So Denise was getting her coffee. It's like, oh, look, well-placed marketing ads, right?
That's
hey,
right.
That's
right.
Yeah.
That's
right.
right.
If we don't all buy our own merchandise, who else can they buy it, right?
That's right. Exactly.
Pretty much.
It's good advertising.
I wanted to note, from what both of you two are saying, I totally agree. Also, I think marriage is a great opportunity for growth, to learn to think of somebody beside yourself.
Absolutely.
And as the majority of people, after they get married, after a while, they'll have kids. And I think it's a great opportunity for growth of thinking about somebody besides yourself, because you have to do that over and over and over with your kids.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a good opportunity to start learning it.
Yeah,
Yep,
I agree
is.
with that 100%. Also a good opportunity to exercise patience. Let's
Oh, yeah.
put that in there when you have kids.
Yeah.
But no, the whole not thinking about yourself thing is huge, even for people who are married and don't have kids. Because let's face it, we're born with that selfish tendency.
Yep.
And so when you put two people together who have, never been married before, they've never had to, like you said, the whole singular mentality, you can't think that way anymore when you're married. And a lot of times, those are the issues that we come across when we meet couples and talk to couples and coach them. A lot of times they're not going to come out and say, well, I'm selfish, but what it boils down to is that there's a lot of things about themselves that they don't want to give up. And so it does force you to have to think about the other person.
Yeah. If you allow it to, the marital relationship will definitely do two things. It will bring to light the growth areas in your character. And it will also, like you said, Sarah, allow you the room for growth in those areas.
Yeah.
Right. Because I felt like I was a great person before I got married. And had I not got married, I would have still done the same thing I was always doing. However, in marriage, several of those things didn't work. So I had to go back to the drawing board and be like, okay, what is it that I should be doing, on my own, and how should I be, readjusting, if you will, my character to be able to successfully navigate this with someone else. So.
Now, guys, one of the biggest reasons I wanted to have you guys on, because I think I could actually have this conversation for the rest of the night. But I really want to get into, what I really want to provide for our audience, for all of our listeners on this episode is, it's the new year, right? January. A lot of people I'm not big into like New Year's Eve resolutions.
Right.
I think if you're going to do it, just do it. Setting the default date that everybody picks never ends well.
Right.
But with the new year starting, right? We've been married 20 years now. You guys have been married 21. I'm looking at it as this is an opportunity for anybody, no matter how long they've been married or if they're thinking about getting married. This is a fresh chance to start 2022 brand new and focus in on your marriage, on your relationship, and just make it a priority, because it will never, often we don't understand how much we need to prioritize our marriage.
Yeah.
Right. We get going, and I've told Oliver, Sarah and I were married for years. It's only in the last 6 months or a year we've actually started having date nights again since our kids were born.
Yeah, it happens often.
Right?
Yeah.
You get busy, you have jobs, you have bills, you have mortgages, you have children, and all of a sudden it just kind of starts falling on the back burner. You don't put the same care, you don't put in the same intentionality into the marriage that you did when you started out necessarily. And so what I want to share, I want you guys to share with us today so we can get everybody started. So I'm going to ask you to share 5 or 6 tips tonight that are the core foundational things you need to focus on practicing in any marriage to make it a priority and make it stronger this year. I want 2022 to be a new year for everybody's marriages who's listening to just reinvigorate, reprioritize, and make it stronger than it's ever been. So
I love it.
Give us, what is tip numero uno? What's the first one?
I would say the first one. So let's start. I don't want to use the word simple, but let's start on an easier end, and then we'll get deeper. So the first thing I believe we need to do is we need to take a moment, a few moments, several moments, and actually look back. What do I mean by that? I don't know of anybody, and you tell me, you might know somebody. I don't know anybody who hated the person they married.
Right.
I don't know anybody who was walking down the aisle like, I can't believe this.
I don't
know anybody like that. Right. So go back to the period of time where you were head over heels.
Yeah.
You on the phone for hours and hours, just breathing. Nobody's saying nothing. You still there? Yeah, I'm still there. What you doing? I'm not doing nothing. What you doing? I'm not doing nothing. Go back to that time.
First.
Right. Go back to that time. And then pick out, it doesn't have to be everything. Pick out a few things that stand out. What were the things you were doing? What were the phrases that were being used? What were the places that you were going? You know, what were the things that were making you happy and giving you that warm, fuzzy, head over heels feeling, and begin to reincorporate those things. Yep. So, okay, it's January now. Man, you know what? We used to always go get ice cream on Saturday nights. And that was just such a good time. We laughed and played and joked around. You know what? Well, January is cold, so I don't know if that's a good example, but you get what I'm saying, right? Whatever that is, start in January with that first thing, and then add the next thing in February and go through there.
Yeah.
That would be tip number 1.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would agree. I don't know if you would consider this hard or not, if this should be tip number 2 or not, but I would say tip number 2, have a check-in with your spouse. Okay. Have a check-in and be like, babe, 2021 is done. We're in 2022 now. How did I do last year?
Wow.
Did I meet your needs? Did I meet your emotional needs? Was there anything that you should have brought up to me maybe that I was doing that you'd rather I not do, or anything that I wasn't doing that you wished I would have done? How can I serve you better in 2022? And then have that conversation. And then the thing about having that conversation is your spouse may say things to you and you may not necessarily agree that that's how you were acting or that's what you missed. But I don't think that is the time to be like, what? No, that's not true. I didn't do that. Or yes, I did. I think it's really important to hear what your spouse has to say. It's their needs, and you can't invalidate their needs by saying, no, that's not true, or that didn't happen, or I wasn't like that. You have to validate where they are. And instead of saying, negating or invalidating what their needs are or what they feel like they missed, ask a question. Ask the question, how can I do better? Or how did I miss it? What would have made it better? How did I miss the mark? So I think it's important to start in the beginning of the year and ask, how am I doing? How did I do last year? What can I do better? How can I serve you better? And then have check-ins along the way, maybe monthly. How am I doing? I'm trying to meet this need that you talked about. that you needed from me? How am I doing? Am I measuring up? Is it fulfilling your need? Is there something I'm missing? Am I going overboard? So I think the first or maybe second point could be, how am I doing? What did I miss last year? Mm-hmm. What needs of yours need to be met, and how can I serve you better?
I like that question. How can I serve you better? Mm-hmm. That's, man.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're willing to really listen to that answer,
right,
you'll be on to something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And before I let you guys go farther on that, I want to dig into that a little bit more. So the first thing is a little bit of nostalgia. Go back and dig into things that were valuable to you early on, things that were special to you early on.
Yeah.
That's and we've done that.
What was special 21 years ago when you guys started?
Man, a few things, and you'll be surprised. Mm-hmm. For those of you who are listening, you'll be surprised what comes out of that when you go back, because it might not be, because like for us, like we weren't 5-star dining and all of that stuff, 20 something years ago.
We're still not.
Yeah, we're still not. Let's be clear.
Let's just clear that up.
Let's be clear. We're still not doing that. But there's things that would happen. Like, for example, we were in Michigan when we got married. We were in Southwest Michigan, and we would take trips to Meijer. Do you remember Meijer?
That is exactly what I was thinking of.
Right. So for those of you that are listening, people who are in Michigan know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Meijer is the equivalent to Walmart, maybe. They sold everything pretty much in Meijer.
It's a grocery store.
Yeah,
but
they
sold
sell
everything.
It's a humongous grocery store. So think the biggest grocery store you can ever think of.
But not just
Fred Meyer or just Meijer?
Meijer, just Meijer.
Yep, Meijer.
Yeah.
And it was open 24 hours. Mm-hmm. So when nothing else was open in that small town, we know that we could go to Meijer, walk around, grab a bag of chips, laugh, people watch, because there would be other people in there late at night with us as well.
Yeah.
And we would take these trips to Meijer, and so now that translates for us now into, it's funny. And where we're going, right? We will go on date night. And no matter what we do for date night, we end up in Target. We could go out to a nice dinner and have a great time, and we will still end up in Target.
Yeah.
Because it's just one of those things that kind of just points back to where we were. So
I never really put the two together. Yeah. That probably is why we do that.
Yeah. So that's one thing, just to give an example. But
so simple stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have.
I had to clarify because we have Fred Meyer out here.
I've heard of Fred Meyer. Yeah. It's just Meijer, Meijer.
Yeah.
Okay, we're Meiyer.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so go back to the little things when you started. I've got to admit, I might be a little hard pressed to remember when we got married. I was 21 and Sarah was 19, and we were dirt poor and barely surviving. And there wasn't
every way to cook top ramen.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
every single way.
And you know what's crazy? Now they have whole restaurants that do it.
Exactly. It's true. It's true.
Right?
I'm pretty sure they make their own noodles at least.
I don't know about that in some
I
of them.
I don't know.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's I think we, like every young couple, right, going through that, I think we came up with every possible way you could cook top ramen in this house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you said stop and actually ask. Now, this is a scary loaded gun. I got to admit, I would be a little anxious asking
You're
Sarah.
Not the only one.
How can I be better? That check-in is. I think you'd have to really be committed to not weaponizing it. You'd have to talk about it beforehand.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I can see that getting weaponized with some couples really quickly.
Yeah.
Yep. And I'm glad you said that, because we do walk couples through what the parameters are that you should put around that conversation. Because you're absolutely right. Yeah. That could go way left real quick.
Yeah.
Right.
Like ground rules.
Right. And so often what we do with couples is help them around the parameters. Right. Mm-hmm. And so there's certain things that are off the table. And one of those things that's off the table is what we call can opener words or phrases.
Yeah.
So it can't be a you always or you never or every time it can't be that kind of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go into the conversation asking the question that you ask. How can we know that we both want this marital journey to be, this experience to be a great experience. What can I do to help this be a great experience for you? And then the other person now is not answering in, well, you never da 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 da. The other person is actually saying, and I'm really glad you asked me this because I was going to go into this. The other person is using what we call the ice cream sandwich method. Now, there's a clinical term for it, but
I like it.
People who know me know that I make up my own names for stuff. I just like it.
It
so
works.
Ice cream sandwich method is simply this. Ice cream sandwich has the 2 wafers on the ends and has the ice cream in the middle. So the ice cream sandwich method is acknowledgement and celebration. Expressing a need is the ice cream. Acknowledgement and celebration. Right? So how that looks like in a very elementary way is, man, I love it when you kiss me goodnight, because I just feel I just sleep better, and whatever I say, right? And then now I slip in the need, man. It just hasn't been happening in the last couple months, so I'd really appreciate it if you could start doing that again. Because, and now I'm going back into acknowledgement and celebration, because I just feel so close to you.
Yeah.
It helps me sleep better. I get to smell the fragrance in your hair, because you always put this stuff in your hair when you go, you see what I'm saying? So now
I don't do that.
I'm not attacking. Yeah. I made that up. Like, I made all of that up.
Nor do I kiss him goodnight.
I was gonna say we are getting deep and sharing some.
Yeah, I made all of that up for the sake of example, but that's what keeps the conversation from going left.
Yeah.
So when we set those parameters with couples, and then we'll have the couples actually model a piece of that conversation in front of us, so that they leave the session understanding how that moment of evaluation plays out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What do you think, Ben?
Well, so it sounds like it's more of a fact-finding question to help you evaluate how you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I had another thought and it went away.
And here's the thing.
The sandwich method sounds it's like you're cushioning.
Yes, that's exactly what you're doing.
Softball, softball.
Yeah.
End on a good note.
Yep.
Kind of thing, kind of relaying truth in a nicer way, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, because here's the thing, right? If I hand you something on a plate, you're more likely to either take it or say, no, I'm not ready for that right now, as opposed to me throwing the plate at you.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to get a whole different reaction out of you. If I throw the plate at you, you're going to be like, dude, it's on. Like, you ain't going to never do that again. You know what I mean? But if I hand it to you, you have the opportunity to say, thank you. Or you have the opportunity to say, well, no, this, I'm not ready for this now because, and whatever the reason is.
Yeah.
Right. So it lessens the chances of her feeling attacked.
Right.
When I use that method, because if you attack somebody, you're going to do one or two things. They're either going to cower and try to protect themselves, or they're going to come swinging back at you because they're just ready for you at that point, and so you want to be able to minimize as much of that as possible.
Right.
And here's the thing. Can I be honest?
Yeah.
For those of you who are listening, the first one is awkward.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's be clear about that.
For sure.
We're not saying this like, oh, you just going to knock it out the park. You might not. The first one is awkward, but it gets easier because you're able to establish a cadence.
Yeah.
Because for every couple, it's going to be different. So the way we do it might be different than the way you guys do it, may be different than the way a listener is doing it. But as you establish a cadence, it gets better.
The first few might be awkward.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I can imagine. I'm not real good with the softball. It's not my strong suit. So even when I try and be nice, I generally screwed that up pretty well. So that would take some practice for me too, right? And I gotta admit, right? If Sarah leads off with a, honey, I really love blah blah blah, my first question is, what do you want? Right? I expect there's an ask coming right after that one, right?
I can see that.
And that's just me. It's not my wife. That's not on her. I'm just suspicious.
Yeah, well, me too. Because when he was describing it, it's like, well, and then you have those relationships where they do that, but they're totally being manipulative.
Absolutely.
And that's just how they get what they want to get. And so it's like, yeah, it would take some practice to hear what he's actually trying to say rather than hear what sounds like manipulation to me.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad you said that.
You have to be both in the same headspace, the right headspace for it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you said that too, because that's true. There is a other side to that.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that's beneficial to know. I would admonish couples who are going to try this for the very first time to not go straight to the deep down stuff.
So pick an easy one the first time.
Right. Keep it pretty surface level and practice with the surface level stuff. The stuff is not gonna make you feel some kind of way when you walk away from the conversation or have you thinking, okay, what is he or she really trying to do right now? Start with the stuff like, this is the example I use, right? If Brent and I were on a basketball team, if we formed a basketball team today,
we'd lose.
Yeah, our next game, tomorrow's game, if we started today, is not going to be against the New York Knicks, who are horrible, and we would still lose. We would still
probably hide alone at that point, though.
Yeah, right.
So we got to start where we know we can start, and so that's what I would admonish couples that are trying to do that for the first time.
So kind of baby steps first, pick some easy ones and kind of work your way up to those really deep ones.
Yep.
I know with us. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Denise.
No, I was just going to say also too, the easy ones, the baby step, smaller ones will also help you to build trust with your spouse, and they won't be suspicious and ask the question, what do you want, when you bring it up. Because it's a small thing and they'll be like, oh, it's just this. She probably, or he probably doesn't really want anything. Maybe she's for real. So start with the small things. I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll say one more thing, because I know you want us to do some more. Don't be afraid to use extra words. This is something I had to tell a couple weeks ago. Don't be afraid to use extra words to frame what's going to happen. So what does that look like? Babe, I want to talk to you about something. And I just want to say before, almost like a disclaimer, I just want to say, I'm not asking you, whatever your spouse might be apprehensive about, right? I'm not asking you for anything. I'm not trying to get anything out of you. I just want to pick your brain about this and just see what you think about what I'm processing right now. And then go into whatever you're going to say. Because then now the other person is like, oh, okay. All right. I can put this sword and shield down because I'm not about to be in battle, And so I tell couples sometimes, don't be afraid to do that. Use as many words as you need to set up what's about to happen before you actually dive into it.
I think the pre-conversation, like for us who are both naturally suspicious people anyway, having that pre-conversation, at least the first several times of, let's put this on the calendar, and on this day at this time, every other week, we're going to sit down and this schedule, and this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right. So that way we put a place for it, so it's not in process of the normal day. Right. You actually prioritize having that conversation, and you both know that that's what it's about, at least until it gets more comfortable, maybe.
And no one feels like you're springing it on them.
Yeah, it would be helpful for us.
Yeah.
I would dare say, even when it does get comfortable, to still do that.
Okay.
To still schedule it. For us, it's typically at the beginning of the year. So although I know Nisi said potentially, doing it once a month. Us being quite honest and transparent, it usually happens maybe once or twice a year.
Yeah.
For us at this point in life where we are right now, for a lot of reasons. Some of it is, just before you look up, the year's done, and we just haven't done it. And then sometimes this is going to go into the third thing that I was going to say, but sometimes what we end up doing is setting the parameters at the beginning of the year for how everything's going to go. And then that way, coming down to the, like now, the end of the year and going into the new year, like we are right now, we can kind of evaluate, like you said, and then set that parameter again for 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Which is an amazing way to start the year, guys. With this being the beginning of 2022, hey, both of you raise the white flag, sit down together as a couple, plan to do this, and start from the beginning, right? Oliver said they check in maybe twice a year. This is a good time to have this conversation and get your year started off right. Now, guys, we are getting some amazing information. Growing up listening to my dad do marital counseling my entire life, I grew up getting to listen to a lot of great marriage counselors. And, I remember being in elementary school, sitting through marriage enrichment seminars, because that's what dad was hosting at the time with somebody, right? But guys, we are having some amazing conversations about how you can start your relationship over for the year, whether you've been married for a minute or for 25 years, it doesn't matter. You can start this year and make a priority. Guys, if you're getting something out of this, if you like what we're doing here, you can jump over to Patreon and support us directly, or buy me a coffee, so we can have more conversations for you guys like this, because I love bringing you guys stuff like this. But for now, we're going to roll to our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Today's episode brought to you by thefallibleman.com. That's right, it's us. Head over to www.thefallibleman.com and check out our blog, updated twice a week with new content and links to all of our social media offerings. Tag or search us at The Fallible Man or at Fallible Man on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and other social medias for daily content. While you're there, check out our attitude swag, shirts, cups, stickers, and more. Again, that's www.thefallibleman.com.
Guys, and welcome back to the show. We're here with Oliver and Denise Marcel of Denoli LLC and the Relationship Trade Secrets podcast, discussing starting your new year with a focus on renewing your marriage, making it a priority, an intentional priority this year. It doesn't matter if you've been married for 5 minutes or for 50 years, guys. We are sharing information that will help you start 2022 off right when it comes to your marriage. Maybe the flame's gone out. Maybe you guys have just gotten busy with kids and with jobs. Whatever it is, I want you to commit, if you're married, to making 2022 your year for you and your spouse, to just make it the best year of your marriage ever. Oliver and Denise are sharing amazing secrets with us, so let's get right back into it. Oliver and Denise, number 3. Where are we going?
Number 3. So let me do this real quick. I'm going to do a 10-second 2B, and then I'm going to go into 3.
Okay.
So 2B, and we can come back to it if we need to. 2B is to, if you have not already, create a mission statement after you have that check-in conversation. If you already have a mission statement, for those couples who have done that already, that's a good way to start your evaluation conversation, is by pulling out the mission statement and evaluating the mission statement. Then that way there isn't, stuff that's coming up. We're focusing on what we put in the mission. So that's the 2B. 3.
Wait a second.
That I thought it was 3, but
it was 3.
I thought it was 3, but I think it belongs with 2.
Okay.
Now wait for a second and explain mission statement, because not everybody listening to this might know what a mission statement is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you think about, and I'll make it real simple. If you think about your job, or, I think most companies now have a mission statement. So if you work for a company, part of what was in the handbook was probably a mission statement or a charter of some kind, basically giving you an idea of what the company's focus is and how you contribute to that focus. same thing with your marriage. She and I get together. Hey, what is the focus for Oliver and Denise this year? What is the focus for Denali this year? What is the focus for our family? Like, our kids are grown now, but when we had young kids, what's the focus for, school, and what's the different things? And out of that would be birthed a mission statement of sorts that was almost like a guideline for how we were going to operate. Everything from choosing a word for the year. So like our word last year was first, because we knew that in 2020, there were going to be several things that we would experience for the first time. And so how would we go about navigating all of these firsts that we were going to have in our life? And we crafted the mission statement around that. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, what we're talking about: creating some kind of manifesto, if you will, as it relates to what you want to see happen in your marriage for that year, and how can each of you contribute to the success of whatever that thing is you come up with.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Makes sense.
So that's what we mean when we say mission statement. And that's why I tacked it on to number 2, because they kind of go hand in hand. For those who have never done it before, I guess that could be your number 3. And don't overthink it, right? Don't overthink it. You don't have to go to a coach and do all of these different, like, there are people who are like, oh, you need to hire a coach to help you with a mission. Nah, you don't got to do that. If you want to, that's fine, but you don't have to.
Yeah. What are your goals?
It's simply this. What are the goals for our marriage?
Yeah.
Let's say the goal is, we want to have date night this year, and we want to have date night once a month. Okay. That's going to go into the mission statement. For whatever your last name is, for the Marcells, we are planning on growing our intimacy this year. And in order to do that, we're going to institute a date night once a month. It's simple. Don't overthink it, but create something that you can kind of point to as a goal.
Okay. That makes sense. So that's 2.5 mission.
That's 2. Yeah, that's 2. Yeah, we call it 2.5, 2B, right?
Well, let me throw in a break before 3 then and say, what is the single most beneficial thing you guys have done in the last year for your marriage that someone else could do?
In the last year, I would say we increased our intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We increased our intimacy, like you were saying in the beginning, because when COVID hit and I was already home, I work from home. I've worked from home for maybe the past 6 or 7 years. Our son is homeschooled, so we have always been home. And Ollie was, when he was in the corporate space, was away during the day for 8, 10, 12 hours a day. And so to have him home around us all day, every day, interrupting how we get things done, it was like, whoa, we got to figure this out. You're kind of in my space. I'm trying to have conference calls and you're sitting at my desk and you're banging stuff around. I'm just not used to having you so much in my space. And so we realized that and plus just being around each other more,
mm-hmm.
It was awkward. And it was weird that it was awkward because we're married, but it was just like, you're not usually here and we got to figure out how to be. We had to figure out how to be again.
Yeah.
And so.
And you know what, Brent, you're a mind reader because you literally just set up a softball pitch for number 3 because
really.
what we realized was that we weren't being intentional about building intimacy and maintaining it. And one of the ways that we noticed, to answer your question, along with what you said, what we did in the last year that others can do, we really honed in on one particular type of intimacy, and it's experiential. So there's all different types of intimacy. You got sexual intimacy, physical intimacy, spiritual, emotional, intellectual. You got all these different types of intimacies. We chose to focus in on experiential intimacy. And it's just what you think it is, creating an experience. And for us, we tell our couples the experience there's only 2 criteria. One is The experience has to put you in the same place, both of you in the same place, and both of you with a common goal. So the experience could be as simple as, listen, tonight is movie night. Nothing else is happening. She and I are going to sit on the couch. We're going to be hugged up and we're going to choose a movie and have a great time for the next 2 hours watching this movie. And what we noticed was, as we began to create these experiences, all the other intimacies were positively affected. Physical intimacy, we're closer in proximity. Emotional intimacy, we're having better and more conversations. Sexual intimacy, intellectual intimacy, we're bouncing stuff, ideas off each other because now we're in that space where we're being intentional. And so that's number 3. That literally was going to be number 3. So you set it up perfectly, is to create experiences that allow you to be in the same place and give you a common goal. And they don't, again, just like the mission statement, don't overthink it. Cooking a meal together, taking a walk together. Something she and I do often, we'll just literally get in the car, pick a direction. Like we're going to drive an hour north and then we're going to come back the scenic route. And we're in it. We're listening to music. We're laughing, joking about stuff. And it's an experience. We're in the same place. And the goal is a common goal. We're driving an hour one way and coming back. So don't overthink it, but just make sure that you're intentional about being consistent in doing those things.
You're going to get me in so much trouble, bro.
I elbowed him a lot.
Oh, wow.
I'm the one that likes to see what there is to see in the area. And he just wants to get there, know where we're going, and come back.
I'm a homebody. I don't want to go anywhere I don't want to have to go.
So
and I don't want to be in a car if I don't got to be there. Like I'm a motorcycle guy. I hate being in an enclosed vehicle for any length of time.
Even on a motorcycle, you have to have a destination, not just let's go that way and go to that road.
Yeah,
that's not enough of a destination.
That's more of an OCD thing, though. Like I choose.
I understand. I understand because I choose home. You give me a choice between home. You don't even got to say what the other thing is. I already chose. It's home.
That's him.
I have a slight OCD kick. Like I actually am so set on, I don't know if it's a control thing or if it's just years of being in the car because we always travel via car. Mm-hmm. I need to know where I'm going. And I'm going to make the quickest, most efficient route there. And if you want to have a stop in there, I've got to plan that stop in there. Otherwise, it actually like physically causes me like tension.
Yeah.
I'm a direct. So if you're like, hey, we're going to go here, we're going to stop and have coffee there. Then we're going to go here, but I got to know what the route is, and I've got to plan it out. And
yeah.
Whereas I just can't be lost. If I know where I'm at, I'm fine.
She was made for motorcycles.
I always know where I am.
Hey,
listen, I have a route.
So now you gotta figure out what's the best of both worlds in that scenario to meet both needs, right? So
Kelly on the couch watching a movie.
There you go.
I'm at home all day. I want to leave the house.
Sarah took on homeschooling our children this year. So she is experiencing
even before that though.
Been at home raising the children. But at least last year when the kids were in public school or before COVID, the kids were gone for a little bit, so she'd get out and run errands. She's taking them homeschooling, so she's home a lot this year. So,
so here's the challenge, right? If we do a quick 3B, here's the challenge. Okay. This is what we tell couples. So think outside the box and venture outside your comfort zone for these experiences. It does 2 things. 1, it stretches you, obviously. But 2, you'll be surprised. And I'm saying this for myself because there's some things that I did not want to do with her that I did. And afterward, I was like, oh, that was dope. I had a good time. So you experience some things that you probably would have never chosen for yourself. And then you realize, and I'm not saying this happens often because there's some things where you're like, nope, we're not doing that ever again. So it's not always a win, but you do find some areas where you're like, man, that was okay. That wasn't too bad. Okay. Thank you for suggesting that, So think outside the box and stretch yourself a little bit.
Well, while we're here, so we actually worked out our perfect date once that we've had at this point, and it was getting coffee, because we're both coffee nerds. We love our coffee, but getting coffee and taking the long runs out to the range and doing long range shooting. That's a perfect day for us.
Oh,
nice.
Nice.
We would take the kids to school on my day off, and I'd get coffee ready, and we'd unload the car, and we'd go out to the range and pop off targets with the 308. So that was it. So what is y'all's perfect date?
Ooh, do we have a perfect one?
That's a great question.
What would be our favorite?
Well, we know it's going to end in Target, whatever it is. Let's just put that out there.
Someone told me the other day, Target is my love language. Oh gosh,
That's a great question, Brent.
Just give me food.
I don't know that.
Just give me food.
It's probably going to involve food. It's going to involve being outside of.
We like to look at model homes.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good one.
Those are fun.
That's fun.
Yeah, we like to look at model homes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That would be a great date for me anyway.
Yeah. So food and walking through some $1 million house and oohing and ahhing.
Yeah.
And then
it's fun to see what they come up with.
Right. Yeah, it is.
I love architecture and houses and seeing what the new trends are. It's like, wow, I never would have thought to put that in the house. They're doing that now. Wow.
Right. Yeah.
That's a good question. I hadn't thought about that. So yeah, that's a great question.
Tours. They don't have a lot of home tours around here. I think
pre-kids we go to like the manufactured home dealers. Just walk through all the different models they had on their lot just to see the differences.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And they don't seem to mind because they keep hoping that we're dumb enough to actually finance something through them.
Right.
Or modular homes too.
Yeah.
There's some cool ones there.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a good one. And we're simple folks.
Simple.
I gotta admit, we're simple folks. So it's always going to involve, something that may not seem significant to the other folks, but for us, it's just something that we've always done, right? Yeah. So the drive thing we've always done. The looking at homes, model homes, we've always done that. That's always been a great, pastime for us. Trying different restaurants and getting a bite to eat has always been good. Just making a run just for the heck of it. One day during COVID, we had enough of being in the house. We're like, you know what? It's lunchtime. I'm gonna go get some sushi. Let's just hop in the car, go grab some sushi, and we didn't even eat it there. We just brought it home. It was just a way to get out in the sunshine, soak up some sun for a little bit. Tired of sitting at this desk. She's tired of sitting upstairs. Let's just get out. So whatever it is, doesn't matter what it is. For those of you who are listening, just create the experience and be intentional about being consistent.
All right. Let's move on to number 4.
Number 4. You got number 4?
Well, I think we kind of hit on it through everything that you were saying, but I would say, and this is only for people, I guess, who don't already do this. And I know that sometimes we fall off of this, but be intentional about date nights.
Okay. So that's kind of piggybacks off the last one.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I would say be intentional about date nights because it's really easy to lose yourself or lose your relationship, excuse me, into life because of life. Stuff happens and before you know it, weeks have gone by and you haven't necessarily connected with your spouse and not talked about finances and not talked about what the kids need or where the kids got to go tomorrow and not talked about career or not even talked about your business, just to connect. So I think be intentional about date nights, and date nights do not have to cost anything. They don't have to cost anything. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to pay for anything. A date night could be watching a movie together or making dinner for the whole family, but then you eating dinner in the room. Get some candles and set it up in the room and eat dinner in there. Make it real special. You got to cook for the kids anyway, or whatever the kids are going to eat anyway. If you have to eat that as well, just make it a little bit more special for the two of you and just find that alone time for a few hours. be intentional about that. If you do it weekly, some people do it monthly, however it is, but just schedule it so that it's intentionally set, I would say. It makes a difference. It really does.
I like that one. I like that one. That definitely piggybacks off of the last one, to create an experience. And that experience, in order for you to stay consistent, a good way to stay consistent is to institute a date night.
Yeah.
To do that. And you said something about conversation, and that it should not include, it shouldn't be shop talk, basically.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be work, shouldn't be about the kids, shouldn't be about.
It's hard to do, I gotta admit, because when we go on dates, I'm pretty sure that we'll inevitably start talking about Denali, at least Denali, if not the kids.
You're right. And but the reason why I touched on conversation, and this, guys may go into the next one, but the reason why I touched on conversation is because what we've noticed is that a lot of couples don't actually have conversations.
Yep.
There's 5 levels of conversation, and most couples we see are stuck in number 1, which is hallway talk.
Yeah.
So if you think about, if like when I was in the corporate space, here's an example of hallway talk. I get to work and I'm headed to my desk, and I stop off to get some coffee, and there's a guy there getting coffee. He's like, "Hey bro, you saw the game last night?" "Yeah, man, that was crazy. Hit that shot at the last minute." "Yeah, man, that's wild, man. What you doing for lunch?" "I don't know yet, man." "Oh, I was going to check out this new burger spot." "Okay, you want to go?" "Sure. All right, see you later." Many of us get stuck there.
Yeah.
And it's not our fault. We got kids, we got jobs.
Nor is it bad.
Right. We got a lot going on. So there isn't a whole lot of time to go through the levels, reporter talk and emotional talk and all the different levels that get you to the place where you're really being vulnerable and having a conversation. But I think that it's important in 2022 that we are intentional about having conversations. I need to be able to sit down, hear her heart, actively listen to her, have a conversation with her, allow her to feel acknowledged and heard and needed and accepted and valuable. So I would say that would be the next one.
I know that's, as we told you earlier, we just started implementing date night probably in the last 6 months for the first time. But Abby's almost 10. So, I'm almost 10 years.
Yeah.
But, like you said, you get so busy with everything else, right? You guys shift into talking about Denali.
Yeah.
Right? I live, breathe the fallible man.
Yeah.
And so when we first started, we was like, okay, we're not going to talk about the kids.
Yeah.
Right. We're going to take a break from the kids. And that didn't, I don't think, make the whole night the first time or two. And then, but it became hey, well, this is the time we can talk about the business. Right. And so it's been that a lot of time. The kids end up coming into it, or we start talking about the business, or we start talking about the next podcast, or, what's coming up, things like that with the business, are in our schedule even. Hey, let's go visit this person, or this person's coming up to visit, or something like that. Right. We don't get into the deep us conversations the way we should.
Yeah.
And it's just, when you're working full time and running a business and you have children and you've got a marriage, and you get all those things we all get buried under.
Yep.
Yep. That's true.
It stops being a conversation about us.
Right.
It gets to be like, what do we talk about anymore?
It's
listen,
true. It's
we get
true.
it. Trust me.
I don't know. What do you want to talk about?
Well, this becomes all of this.
Right.
Becomes us.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, we know.
We get it.
We know, because it happens to us too.
Yeah.
It happens to us as well. Or for us lately, to be fully transparent, for us lately, it's been our grandson.
Yeah.
Because he's new. This is a new phase of our lives, right? First grandchild. So we'll be at dinner and be. You're gonna laugh when you say this. We'll be at dinner talking about, hey, you know what? We should go get this thing for Kobe at Target.
Yeah. Or we're showing each other pictures of him. Look at this picture I took of Kobe earlier today. Like,
so yeah, we get it. We get it. And so, and it, listen, we can't beat ourselves up if that happens.
No.
Right. We tell couples all the time, progress is progress. The fact that date night has started back up again is phenomenal.
Yeah.
We'll figure all the rest out, as we can. Yeah. Right. So I think that's one. And the conversation piece, having the conversation is definitely important, and moving through those phases of conversation, not just staying at hallway talk. Because here's where we got stuck and why conversation is so big for us. We'd be like, okay, what is Justin doing anything after school today? Yeah, he's got to do this. Okay, you gonna pick him up? Yeah, I'll pick him up. What you want for dinner? Okay, we have dinner. And that's the bulk of our conversation for the entire day.
Yeah.
And we'll go weeks and months with just that level of conversation. And then realizing, okay, we haven't learned anything about each other. Like we're 6 months in the same place, and so we try to help couples move through those levels of conversation. Reporter talk. Reporter talk is just the facts. So, did you have a good day today? Yeah. What'd you talk about? We had these 3 meetings and we talked about how we're going to move the company forward. Oh, okay, that's cool. How was your day? Oh, my day was good. Just the facts, right? Then the next one is your feelings about the facts, right? And it starts to build.
Yeah.
The levels start to build until you're actually having a conversation where I'm listening to her heart and I'm listening to what's actually going on with her, and I'm actively listening and acknowledging. And obviously we're busy, so I'm not saying that's going to happen like every hour of the day,
right.
But we should be intentional about carving out some time to do that. And what we had to do, to give an example, because life was crazy. And so at one point we're like, you know what, hold on, this can't work. We're going to carve out, I think, what did it start at? 10 minutes?
10 or 15, I think.
And we're like, okay, we're going to carve out this time. It's uninterrupted. If that's the only time we're going to get during the day, that's when we're going to sit down and just, even if we look at each other till we start talking, nothing can happen. Nothing else can happen in that 15 minutes. And that helped us at least to jumpstart something to be able to build. So that conversation piece is one for us.
I like that. Now, guys, if you're getting something out of this, be sure and hit that like button, the subscribe button, do all the good social media nonsense that I hate covering on the show because nobody actually wants to hear it, and you all know it anyway. But, let us know that you're enjoying this, and who knows, this may end up in a 2-parter eventually. We never know. But, guys, let us know what you think. Comment. We reply to all the comments, whether you're on the podcast or whether you're on YouTube, whatever platform you're on. I love interacting with you guys in the comments. That's why I have a live show on Mondays as well. Be sure and let us know what you're thinking. Share your thoughts on this with us. We will pass them along to Oliver and Denise as well, so they get to answer them and see them. And be sure and go over to their site and check that out as well and get to know them. These guys care about your marriage. I can honestly say you care about your marriage. There are only a few people in this world who care about your marriage. These people do. So let's dig into are we on number 4? Are we on?
I think we're technically number 5. So this is the last one, right?
Okay. I don't know.
Is this the last one? I think it's the last one. So recap. Number 1 was go back. Pull the things that, were important to you, the things that were happening around the time that you were just madly head over heels in love. Begin to reincorporate those things throughout the year into your space. Do a check-in, and the part B of that, evaluating where you are, where you want to be, creating a mission statement. That was 2. And then 3 is the date night and the experiential intimacy piece, and creating experiences that allow you to be in the same place and with a common goal. 4 is having conversation and being able to move through the levels of conversation that allow you to really learn and grow with your spouse. And then I would say the last one is, and there's many others, but we'll make this the last one. Invest in your marriage.
That's a good one.
What do we mean by invest in your marriage? If you think about your career, right? Many of us I was in the corporate space, my wife is in the corporate space. You have continuing education credits. You have in services if you're in education. You have all of these different things that help you to further your career, help to give you some tools, help to refresh the tools you already have so that you can be better, so that you can grow, so that it opens the door for more opportunity in your career. Often we get married, we go down the aisle, we say, I do, and that is it. We don't do anything else. We don't do any seminars. We don't read any books. We don't look at people like Brent and Sarah's show. We don't do any of these things, right? And so I encourage you to be intentional about investing in your marriage. And I would dare say do something once a month. January, we're going to go to a conference. February, we're going to read this book. March, we're going to, look at this YouTube channel, once a week. Do things that are intentionally designed for you to grow your relationship. I would say that is a key one right there.
Yeah.
Now, I love the word intentionality because I think we get lost sometimes in thinking because we're going through the motions, we're actually like engaged and intentional and achieving something in our marriage, right? But too often we stick that in neutral or go into autopilot and just be like, I can coast for a while and just do this because it's muscle memory, right? I know what I'm doing. I'm going through these motions, and frequently we're doing things we've always done, but your heart's not necessarily in it. Your intention's not behind it. So I'm really digging the word intentional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got to be. And it's interesting you would say that because I was just talking to a group of guys not too long ago. And one of the guys was saying the same thing. He was like, man, I felt like I was knocking it out the park because I was still there.
Wow.
Like I didn't go anywhere. I'm here. I'm engaged to some point. I'm providing. I'm protecting. It was like, I thought I was killing it. Nope. Finding out there's so many gaps. There's things missing. The intimacy is not where it should be. And the conversation is not where it should be. We hadn't done anything about investing in our relationship to grow it. We did exactly what you just described, Brent. We're just kind of going through the motions. And because I'm still standing beside you, I'm like, okay, we're good.
So old joke, what was that? We used to hear all the time growing up. It's like, I told you I loved you once, woman. If I change my mind, I'll let you know.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Right? I don't, it's a joke, but I think too many men like heard that and took that to heart sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, because that's part of, and I won't say for everybody, but for a lot of us guys, that's part of what we saw. So those of us who are older, I'm a little bit older, right? I'm 50. So those in my generation, our parents and grandparents, we saw some very clearly defined roles, right? Mm-hmm. The moms and grandmoms did certain things. The dads and granddads did certain things, and they worked hard. They weren't around that much. I can tell you right now, my dad at one point in my life was working 3 jobs. So he would come home, sleep for like 2 hours, and he'd be gone. So obviously no one could bother him while he was sleeping. So there's no interaction there. Then he's gone again. And then you have maybe about a 7-hour span of time before he was gone again. So he had to sleep for at least 5 of those hours, right? So there's very little bit of time, but that was, in those days, that was a successful husband.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was providing.
Right.
He was putting food on the table. He was taking care of the kids. When we needed shoes, we got shoes. So that was a successful husband.
Now, guys, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, but, we're realizing now that there's more to it than that. So
that's what I was going to say is, guys, I want you to take note. Was a successful husband. Okay.
Yeah.
And it may have been easy in our parents' age. I don't know. We could debate that. There are different issues, different concerns, but just showing up is not being a husband. The worlds have changed. The time has changed, right? Yeah. We have different expectations. We know that we have a higher capacity than that. to be realistic.
Yeah.
I had a great conversation with a gentleman from Australia, and he has a ministry doing marriage like you guys do. And that's one of the things he focuses on with his men is increasing capacity, increasing work capacity, because it's not enough to go to work and make a paycheck.
Right.
It's not enough to just be in the home. You have to be emotionally there. You have to be mentally there. You have to be spiritually there. You have to be engaged with your spouse. You have to be engaged with your children. So some people would argue that it's harder at this point than previous generations to be a good husband. I would say that they just didn't know any better. I don't know that it was harder. It was just different.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But guys, it's not enough.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask, what is next for Oliver and Denise and Denoli LLC?
What is next for us? Well, a couple of things. One, we really want to get more heavily involved in community work. So you may not see that if you follow us on social media. You may not see a lot of that. But for those of us who are in maybe the Baltimore metropolitan area, because that's where we are, hopefully you'll see more of us in the community in 2022. That's a big one. We're also launching a YouTube show. So for those of you who are not in the Baltimore metropolitan area, you'll be able to catch that show. The YouTube channel already exists, and there's a whole lot of other tips that you can get, to help you throughout your year on that. But we definitely want to focus in on that a little bit more this year. Of course, the coaching will still happen. That's a big part of what we do. But I'd say if I had to pick out two things, and you could piggyback on that if you have others, but the two things we've been thinking about is really getting into the community and doing some work with men, doing some work with couples, and then growing our YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm. And then also we are finishing up our 52-week devotional.
Yes.
As well.
Yes.
And that should be out.
That'll be out Valentine's Day.
Nice.
Yes. Sign me up on the pre-order.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Appreciate you. We'll do.
Now, let's see if I got the right screen here. Oh, I did. Nope, I had it. I messed up. Had a screen to stream. There it is. Yay. Now, if you're listening on air, guys, what you're not seeing right now that I have on our screen, that you can check on the YouTube channel if you want, is denali.org. And it's really spelled just how it sounds, guys. DENOLI.org. Now, is this the best place for people to find you? I said earlier, you're killing your social media game. I love you guys on Instagram. I feel lazy compared to you guys. And your YouTube channel, I go over and watch some of your videos and try and catch some of your lives and stuff. And you have some great tip videos. I enjoy those. They're good. They're short, little, very digestible tips on YouTube. They're just amazing. It's a quick fix where you guys can just check in and spend 5 to 7 minutes on your marriage very easily and just go, wow, okay. Investing an extra 5 or 7 minutes into your marriage every day would be huge, or a couple times a week. Mm-hmm. So I think you've got some great stuff going on there. This is your website. Is everything tied back to here?
Everything is tied back to the website. And I got a little joke for those that are watching on YouTube right now. It's literally changing as we speak. So after you watch this video, if you refresh denali.org, it's going to look different.
Right. Yeah.
That's a funny little joke. But yes, to answer your question, this is the central hub. Mm-hmm. From here, you can get to the blog, you can get to the podcast, get to YouTube. You can get to anything that we will be doing. You can get to the store, merch, all of that you can get from that central location.
Let me ask. I'll remove this for a second. On your website, you have an interesting giveaway. Mm-hmm. I will pull this up. For all of you listening, it's denali.activehosted.com/F/3. And guys, all these links will be in the show notes. So don't worry about it if you can't remember that, because, hey, I'm going to have it for you in the show notes. Can't hit the right buttons today. That's what happens. Sarah usually hits the buttons. I'm so in over my head right now. This is Sarah's part of the show. I don't know how to do this.
This is what you get for playing me out in front of the camera.
Yeah. There we go. And if you're watching on YouTube, this is what it's going to look like when you get there. And you can put in your name and email and tell me about 5 habits of a happily married couple.
So in that piece that you'll get from putting in your email, you're actually going to get a little bit of what you heard. I don't want to give away too much of what's in there, but you will get a little bit of what you heard. And in addition, we will add a couple other things that you didn't hear. But it's basically, in a nutshell, what we did today.
Right.
It's 5 areas that you can concentrate on, and it doesn't take a whole lot of overthought. 5 areas that you can concentrate on that you can implement right away after you read that to begin seeing some changes in your relationship.
So guys, it's the more in-depth version of this conversation, right?
Yeah.
Because we have to keep it within reason. It's a podcast. But this is, if you want more on what they were talking about today, if you heard something that you love, something that really registered with you, okay, that just resounded in your mind, go give them your email. I promise you, they aren't going to spam the world out of you. They're not going to give away your email or sell it or anything stupid like that.
No.
But get this free offering, guys. Take this free opportunity to dig in. Look, I used to be a minister. I have lots of books on marriage, and they aren't cheap. Usually investing in your marriage, there's always a price. But like they said, hey, invest in your marriage, right? It's the beginning of January. Grab this free book from them. Okay, it's ebook, PDF, yeah?
Yep, PDF.
Yes, PDF.
Grab this free PDF, okay? And this is step 1 of investing in your marriage. And it's not even going to cost you anything.
Yep.
But this is a great way to start January 2022 and to start your marriage on a solid foundation this year and move in a positive direction. Guys, marriage has been in trouble for a long time. The rates are staggering. They're horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
And we want your marriage to be solid. We want 2022 to be the year we reverse that and start moving towards marriage being a foundational element again and strengthening marriages. And you can make this the best year of your life. Guys, we're going to have all of Oliver and Denise's links down in the show notes. I want you to go spend time with them, invest in your marriage with them. You can, if you're watching the videos, you can check out the cool t-shirts they're wearing. I own at least one of those already. I've got another one on the way. So guys, I only wear my own brand anymore, but I believe in what they're doing enough. I bought 3 t-shirts from them at this point.
Awesome.
So
thank you. Blessings on you,
bro. I love
man.
what they're doing. I can tell you guys, honestly, growing up a preacher's kid, I grew up my whole life going to marriage enrichment kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Sarah and I have been on some amazing marriage retreats over the years. Denise and Oliver are offering you guys solid gold on their podcast, on YouTube. They are fighting for your marriage and giving you the tools to do that, to make it the best possible marriage. So guys, take advantage of it. Don't miss this opportunity. Invest in your marriage. And it's not even costing you to do so, whether you get their download, whether you check out their YouTube, whether you listen to their podcast. Guys, I can't thank you enough for starting out the year with us and for being on the podcast today. Thank you so much for being here and taking the time with us.
It's our pleasure. Thank you. We appreciate the opportunity.
It was an honor to be here.
Hang out with you. Absolutely. Hang out with you both.
Guys, as always, be better tomorrow because of what you do today, and we'll see you on the next one.
This has been the Fallible Man Podcast, your home for everything man, husband, and father. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a show. Head over to www.thefallibleman.com for more content and get your own Fallible Man gear.